So the June issue of Wine and Spirits magazine from 2020 paid a lot of credit to our wine. They produced a top 100 value wines and then went through and listed their top Rieslings in the country. And for their top value wines, we had 3 out of the 100 in our top Rieslings. This one, because I think it's a good value, but it's not under $20, was ranked as one of their top U.S. Riesling. This is our sparkling Riesling from 2016. We have our 2016 Fût de Chêne, and this wine actually came from that fermentation block. So what we did was we took Riesling that had fermented in neutral barrels and had aged in neutral barrels for about 9 to 10 months. We did the process for creating a sparkling wine by bringing the sugar up to 24 grams per liter. And then we added an additional yeast strain to inoculate it for fermenting and bottled it. Once it was bottled, we allowed it to sit in tirage for an additional 2 years. So that was a total of about 3 years on yeast. And even more importantly, the yeast had the autolytic reaction had 2 life cycles. So when we talk about autolysis, it's just that process of the yeast cells breaking down and imparting flavors into the wine. That will only go so far. So you look at the first year and you get this big jump in the amino acids and kind of the impact from autolysis. By the second year, that is greatly reduced, and then after that, you don't really see much. So when we had that first year close to it of autolysis happen in barrel, we got a really nice base of those brioche notes to build upon. But by doing it again, we gave each bottle a touch more of that toastiness that I really like in sparkling wine. So this is a really remarkable little sparkling Riesling, 91 points, wine and spirits. If I can get the cage off. And we want very little noise. There we go. So let's go ahead and give it a taste. We wanted this to be a very unique approach for Finger Lakes sparkling Riesling. Fully barrel fermented, aged for a nice period of time, with a vintage that, although warm, offered some very nice, lean, and linear styles of fruit. I've talked about it before, but in the 16 vintage, it got so warm that many of the sites that we work with actually started preserving their carbohydrates because there wasn't enough water. So, that combination of heat plus lack of rainfall, it being one of the biggest drought years on record for the Finger Lakes, meant that the vines didn't have enough water to keep pumping into the fruit. So we ended up with higher acids than we would have expected. We ended up with lower residual sugar, which is why it was perfect for making sparkling wine, and why even after the primary fermentation, we were able to do our chaptalization, bring that sugar up to 24 grams per liter, and make a sparkling wine from it. Just intense, stony aromatics. It's got that sort of perfect thing I look for at least, in a sparkling Riesling that speaks to place. When we talk about the geology here, we talk a lot about our shale, and that just kind of pops right off on the nose, this strong mineral note, that scent of wet rain on pavement, the smell of the air next to the lake. And it's combined on second approach with these, just strong, nice applesauce, touches of cinnamon, broad brioche notes. I mean, it hints at like a donut shop almost. Boy, it's just beautiful. The mousse on this is amazing. Put it in my mouth and it just feels like it begins to expand, envelop the palate. The notes of citrus are there, and you can tell that time has been kind to them because they're, and when I say citrus, I mean kind of the acid profile of this wine. It feels fully integrated. It feels like it is happy to be a part of this wine, and it's not overpowering. And that citrus is the first sort of approach, and as that gives way, more of these kind of baked apple notes combined with some of the brioche with the mousse just provide a really magical combination. This was one of the earlier sparkling wines we made when we started our sparkling program. I think it was the third or fourth. And so we still had so much to learn. But I'm happy that we did this because this approach, this barrel fermented Riesling, the picking decisions, and even the disgorgement date and the really minor dosage. I think there was a 2-gram dosage, just to add a little bit of, tiny bit of RS to help accentuate the fruit, make it one of my really pride and joy wines. So relatively small production, but I hate to say it, I agree with Wine and Spirits magazine. It really is one of America's best Riesling.